Hello ladies and gentlemen, Gapesta here. Today we're doing another monk solo guide, this one for Atramedes 10-man in Blackwing Descent, and also for the trash leading up to the boss. So I'm brewmaster as usual. You can see these talents there. The important thing that you absolutely need is invoke Juan the Tiger Pet, and other than that I would recommend healing elixirs for the heal because you don't need the cooldown reductions from the other abilities, and Chi Wave also for the heal, and the rest is sort of up to you. Now this is one of those weird situations because you're by yourself. Due to the mechanics, the trash pull, specifically the right one before the boss, is far more difficult than the actual boss itself. So you'll spend most of your time figuring out this pull, at least I did. And then afterward, the boss is a walk in the park in comparison. So let's start the video with some guides to... Alright, so the main reason this trash is so difficult is because of the Spirit of Ironstar's ability Execution Sentence. So about every 30 seconds, and the first time being 15 seconds into the fight, Ironstar will use Execution Sentence on a random raid member within 40 yards. And since you're the only raid member, it's on you. And this is a stun ability, so it will stun you for the duration as well as do about 200,000 holy damage after it wears off. The problem, of course, is that while you're stunned, you're getting beat on for full damage by everything else that's attacking you. So basically, if you get hit by Execution Sentence and most of this pack is alive, you'll be dead very shortly. There's just nothing you can do about it. So the goal here to kill this pack is to separate Ironstar from you at least 40 yards to allow you to be out of range of that ability. And this is a real pain in the ass to eventually get down. But that said, the basic idea is to distract him using your tiger pet to give yourself enough time to kill off the other mobs. And then when Execution Sentence does land on you, it should hopefully be survivable with what's left over. Now, as you make the pull, you want to have established your range that will be out of 40 yards from where Ironstar ends up fighting. Now, because you can't engage with your own body, you have to mark someplace that's at least 50 yards away from where he starts the fight. So the actual pull is made by summoning your tiger pet with Ironstar targeted. This ensures that the tiger will aggro on Ironstar. Whereas in other cases, if you aggro a bunch of mobs, it's not always a guarantee that the tiger will aggro the mob that you're targeting. So you pull by just keeping Ironstar targeted and then pulling your tiger pet out when you're ready. And he will get threat, your tiger will taunt Ironstar, and Ironstar will move toward you slightly, but not very far. Then you want to quickly AE everything else and pull it back to you, and your tiger will keep threat on Ironstar. And then once you're out of 40 yards, you can actually stop and engage the rest of the mobs there. Alright, so the goal here is to kill all 3 remaining spirits outside of Ironstar before he gets over to you after killing your pet and uses Execution Sentence. This timing, your pet will last the full 45-second duration when it expires. It won't actually die. So really, you have 45 seconds plus the time it takes for him to get to you, and then the remaining cooldown on the next Execution Sentence. And in my experience, this seems to be about 65 seconds in total. So you have 3 different spirits with 2.3 million health each. This means that the actual DPS requirement to kill them before Execution Sentence is used on you is about 107,000 DPS. So it's not very high. You'll see that I end up doing about 130,000 before Execution Sentence is used. But of course, that's because there's time spent pulling and you're not in range when you're moving away and all that stuff. So it's a little bit higher than the 107,000, but the idea here is you have to have a minimum DPS to be able to kill these guys in time. And technically you could kill 2 of them and have the other one be alive with Ironstar, but that would be risky, obviously, because you're going to be stunned that whole execution and you don't want to be taking melee damage if possible. Now, as you may recall from doing this fight back in the day, The problem is that any spirit that dies causes the other spirits to instantly heal the full health. So you have to time your ability to kill all three so that it happens simultaneously. And this can be a tricky proposition given everything else that's going on. So the basic method I used is to maximize AE DPS on the 3 targets. So obviously you want to cake smash on cooldown, and then keep your breath of fire dot active as well. And then beyond that, use spinning crane kick anytime you can. You're not going to be able to keep your shuffle going 100% of the time. You have to sacrifice some of your global cooldowns that would normally be used on blackout kick to keep shuffle going, and instead use them on DPS abilities. So just keep that in mind. You'll also want to use any DPS cooldowns you have, so make sure you flask and you use your potion once these guys are in position. Just anything you can to increase your damage. And obviously there's also going to be a minimum gear requirement. I'm doing this with an eye level 500, so adjust the difficulty based on your own gear, of course. That said, the next goal is once they're low enough health, you can't kill one before the other ones are ready to die. So you have to try to keep the damage even. This means that I typically will target them as their health gets low. So I'm trying to keep them all within 5% or so of each other. And then once they're all low enough, you can use spinning crane kick to wheedle them down and then get them below 5% or so. And then one final keg smash will kill them all simultaneously. So it's tricky, to say the least. You'll see that the timing that I actually get to kill is very close to execution sentence. And I managed to do it to 2 guys before. Didn't get the third one killed because he wasn't low enough. So tried it again a few times and finally got all 3 low enough around the same moment. So if you just watch their healths in the nameplate bars there, you can see the percentages. And so I'm trying to keep track and get them all relatively low about the same time. So swapping targets to the high one just for extra damage from white hits that will help hit that one down lower than the others. And then just wait until the last moment so that you're positive that your cake smash will finish them off if possible. So there it is there. And there's the cake smash. So yeah, it's a stupid pull. But the main thing is just to keep your distance by separating yourself from Iron Star with your Tiger Pet, and then just practice AEing these guys down and killing them simultaneously, and so they don't heal up the other ones. And then once Iron Star's by himself, then it will all just fall into place pretty easily. He's pretty much a pushover. You just have to be careful of the damage that will occur when execution sentence is finishing up. So he will have the buffs from all the other spirits, of course, but you can see that it's not too bad. You just need to keep your health at a reasonable level before execution sentence is going to be cast. He won't do anything to you while this is cast, so as long as you have enough to survive the final blow that occurs after execution sentence, then you can heal yourself up quickly or use a guard to shield yourself right after or something like that, and you should be okay. So there I absorbed it all actually with guard even. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, so that is the the right side trash pack before Atramedes. Way more difficult than the boss. So let's finally move on to the boss itself. Alright, finally on to Atramedes himself. This boss, as I said, is a pushover compared to the actual trash pull before. So, fair warning to you, the viewer, that this was the first and only attempt I made on the boss. And obviously I get the kill, but I performed pretty poorly. Basically about halfway through the fight I realized a big mistake I was making in using the gongs too frequently. So I adjusted my strategy midway through the fight, but I didn't want to just wipe and have to try again. So this guide is going to be more about do as I say and not as I do kind of thing. I pretty much know what I did wrong, and so I can explain that as you watch, but what I'm actually doing in the first half of the fight is not the way to go. So you'll also notice this is 150% speed. Otherwise, the fight is just 10 minutes Snorefest, so I figured I'd speed it up a bit. So that said, the basic idea here against Atramedes is just move all the time. That's pretty much it. During the ground phase, he will use the sonic pulses on you every once in a while. And if you just sidestep those, they'll never hit you. It's pretty easy. And so as a melee, you can, of course, constantly be sidestepping and never be in danger. And likewise, when he uses his tracking breath on you, you will be moving to one side or the other, and it will never hit you. This will prevent your soundbar from ever getting filled up at all during that phase. In the event that your sound ever does get high, you can probably survive with full sound. I didn't try it, but I imagine you can, and just hit a gong to reset it. But that said, because of his damage output being pretty low, your sound level getting high is not the end of the world. So other than that, the ground phase, you should use a gong every time he does Searing Flame, so just like I did there. And then on the air phase, try to use 0 gongs, or if you have to use one, just use one about halfway through the air phase. This was the main mistake I made. I was used to doing this fight in a raid, because back in the day, you'd use 2 gongs every air phase and have enough DPS to kill him before you ran out of gongs. But solo, my damage is terrible, especially because I can't attack him while he's in the air very well. So I actually ran out of gongs pretty quickly. So there you can see I'm using one right away, just about, and then I run over and hit another one here, I think. Maybe I don't. Oh yeah, I do. So 2 per air phase is a terrible waste. It's not needed. Basically, the tracking debuff on you, if you just keep running and roll when you can without standing in it directly, you're never going to get full sound during one air phase. So I found this later on. You can just allow it to hit you. You'll get about 50 sound or so by the time the phase ends. And even with that extra sound, you're not going to take enough extra damage to be in trouble from Atramedes himself. And then you can just wait for the next Searing Flame, use the gong for that, just like you normally would, like right there. And then that'll reset your soundbar for you. So essentially, you should only have to use 1 gong every ground and air combination, and that would be during the Searing Flame. And if you have a lot of trouble with tracking hitting you a lot more than you expect in the air phase, then you can use a gong during that. But again, it shouldn't be necessary. So here I'm getting tracked, and I stopped to use my teleport so I'd have a port back. But this is another thing I learned midway through the fight. Since you have to pause ever so slightly to actually use your Transcendence portal, you don't really save yourself much time. You end up stopping briefly and allow the ticks to hit you, or they normally wouldn't, so you really don't gain much in the way because the beam will catch up to you. So again, just keep running, and as long as you constantly run and roll whenever you can, you should be okay. You also probably want to pick up momentum for your tier 1 talents. I was still using my previous talent spec from the trash, so I didn't bother to change. But that would give you some extra movement, so you could stay out of tracking beam during the air phase a little bit longer before it gets so fast that it keeps up with you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So basically the entire strategy is don't be as bad as I am. And you should be fine. Just constantly sidestep, and you'll slowly whittle him down. If there's actually a hard berserk timer on this fight, I sure don't know what it is, because I think I was like 10.5 minutes on this kill, and obviously I didn't get a berserk. So I suspect the berserk is really just a soft enrage from running out of gongs. So again, you can go a really long time on this guy. And basically, if you have enough DPS to kill the trash before this by yourself, then you'll have no problem beating the DPS requirement for the boss. So there you can see I finally didn't use any gongs on that, and I'm at, I can't read that from here, 60 it looks like sound. So not enough to actually be of much danger. And then I just wait for the next Searing Flame, and then I'll reset it as I need to. So, yeah, that's Atramedes solo. I really have nothing else to add. It's very basic and trivial. So I'm just going to stop talking and let the video finish out, I think. And that should cover it. So that is solo Atramedes for monks, as well as the crazy trash beforehand. And as usual, good luck. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.